in 3D a Hosoi Hammerhead, one of the Skull Skates hammerheads, the max size. There it is. So this is the finished model with some UV mapped textures on it. You know, if we go and take a look at, yeah, they're actually making these boards. Vision or Select Distribution is making these boards again. The nose is a bit long on them. It's got the new, you know, mounting pattern. It's got the 2-color screen, kind of gives it away. But you know, when I was a kid, I rode one of these. I rode one of these Skull Skates boards. It was probably 85, 86, and it was the mini. They did 3 sizes: mini, mid, and max. I rode a mini. It was black, had a white graphic. It was sick. But here's Holmes. I think this is Virginia Beach. Yeah, he's looking stoked. But check out this photo. This is so nuts. This Rocket Air is just, whoa. This Rocket Air is crazy. When I was a kid, I could not believe this stuff. I mean, he's fully sideways. It's like 10 feet in the air. There's a hand on the railing. So gnarly. And here's a sampling of some of the colorways that were happening. I think this is like the Hammerhead 2 or Hammerhead 3 or something. But I had one of these originals. Right, beware of the imitations. Check out Christian today, still ripping, so badass. And then this definitely cracked me up right here. It's like, I think it's the bottom of Bay Street in Santa Monica. Johnny Cobb just like posing a backsmith, T-Mag. I don't remember there being like a roll up on the backside of this. There's no way he's blasting like that. I think this is a run and jump and like hop on your board. Dubious if that's a make. But check out Holmes. He's like leaning a hard car through there. He's hyped. Right. Enough kidding around. So let's model one of these. We're gonna start with a new file here. Our units are in inches, and I just have a single point for my origin here. I'm on my reference layer, so let's just make a bounding box for the board first. I'm pretty sure it was like 10.5 inches by 31 inches, and then I'm gonna move this bounding box, the midpoint over to here, and the midpoint right there. So now we know that that's centered. We'll put a center line down the middle. These are construction lines that'll help us, and we're gonna turn on print display, which allows us to see our lines in the colors of the layers. So we're on our reference layer, which is red. So now let's go over to our background layer here, and I'm going to use the picture command. Again, I'm just typing in the commands, and the tool will come up. Here's my reference, Hammerhead reference, orange. Somebody's photo on Google, thank you very much. Excellent reference photo. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually drop down the transparency on this object. I don't need it. I just, you know, overwhelming me. I just need it to hide behind my actual lines. That looks about centered. It's a hair too big. I'm going to scale 2 dimensions. I want to line up these rails right here and then see where I am with the top and the bottom. So that looks totally good. I'm fine with that. I think the next step is actually going to this drawing layer. I want to put in the mounting holes here. It's going to help me center everything. So we'll just go ahead and we'll type Alt. You just tap Alt and that duplicates an item. And so now I can select, block that background. You take both of these, use the gumball, slide them down. And then if we draw a line between both of these circles, we can actually use that, the midpoint, and snap it to the center here. But wait, what we want to do is we want to select this background image also. Then we're going to do it. So now our background should be centered. Looking good. I've got that locked. And let's go ahead and just group these. Again, our gumball slider, type Alt to duplicate it. And we're gonna just drop those down right there. The next thing is to move these guys down to the start of our board shape for the top and for the bottom. It makes it really easy just using these sliders on the gumball. And then we want to use a curve. I'm going to hold down Shift to bring out our first point here. That way it's going to be tangent when we mirror it. And then 3 points for a curve. This one's got a little bows out just a hair. 2, 3. And now we should be able to just pull this line all the way down. Here's the fish tail. Bring it right over here. 3 points for our curve. This flat section. 2, 3. Bring it to here, and then we're gonna have one, we'll do it right there. Let's select this, and we're gonna actually turn on snappy dragging. It's already on. And we're gonna pull it down and snap it with this endpoint. And that will make sure that our line will have tangency, okay? Sorry, not the control point. We need this to be to the construction plane. Then we're gonna slide that out and snap it to here. Now we have tangency. This guy, I feel like he needs to move out about right here. Okay. So there's the shape. I'm gonna turn on history before I mirror that, and just in case we make any changes, they'll be reflected, literally. Okay, turn off the background. Check it out. There's our shape. It actually looks pretty good. Sometimes this ends up being a little soft and you have to adjust it. But maybe, do we get it as wide as it should be? It doesn't look like it. I'm gonna take all 3 of these, just pull them out of hair. Maybe this one right here. See, this is where you want to change from snappy dragging to smooth dragging. Then you can just dial in that line. That looks good now. And now, because I turned on history, those changes, they've been mirrored. So there's our shape. Now, just looking at this, I think I want to take these, go to my reference layer here, and create a bounding box. That's going to have a rectangle that's at the extent of that shape. And then let's go back to our drawing layer here, and just draw this line right here. Oops. Select this one. And I'm going to move it up to the back of our mounting pattern. Yeah, somewhere about right here. Looks good. That'll be where my tail is. Then, if you were to look at the shape of the actual blank before they cut it out, it's probably flat to about right here. And then it'll go up. The older boards, I think it kind of sounded like they were just gradual to the concave up to the front. So there you have it. I think if we rebuild this one, we can add some concave to it. We're gonna add 3 points. Go okay. And then we'll select these 2 edge points. Let's move them vertically 0.375, which is 3/8 of an inch. And then I'm gonna hit V for vertical. It's one of my aliases. And I'm gonna move this line right back down. So there's our concave. Nice and mellow. These early 80s or mid 80s boards, they didn't have crazy concave. You had to wait for T-Mag about, I don't know, 5 years later, doing his hell concave. I'm gonna turn back on snappy dragging, and I'm gonna just pull this here to tap on Alt and bring it to the end there. So what I've done is I've created these profiles for the board. And now if I make surface my active layer and loft this, now you can see we actually have a surface that we can cut out. In fact, let's do that. Let's go to the top view. Let's turn on our shading. Here's our two shapes. And just like if we were in the skateboard factory, we just trim off these pieces that aren't necessary. And that's the first part of our surface. Now if we take these two and we split it right here, then I can make that the tail. I simply join these, and then I close the curve, and then I can make a planar surface. So let's take a look at that. There's our board. Probably turn off all of these. See? Add some kick to this tail. R for rotate. And now we'll bring it up. What do you think? Like 10 degrees? Is that crazy? No, that's alright. Mellow concave, you know, it's subtle. But check this out. Here's one of the issues, right? We don't want this crease. Join these surfaces, and then we're gonna fill it, right? Otherwise it's gonna look like cruise missile concave, where it's got all the creases. So the radius 4 inch, sure. I bet that's pretty good. Yeah, see, that's mellow. Right, you don't want to go crazy. And then remember, no kick on these noses. Remember. Okay, so now we have our surface. What I want to do next is I want to offset the surface. I'm going to offset it again by 3/8 of an inch. And let's actually do that not as a solid. Excellent. So now we have a top and a bottom. We're definitely going to need a, we're going to need to do a sweep for the rail. So I'm going to take both of these. Let's just go over to our, we'll stay on the surface layer. Let's go silhouette. That creates outlines based on the shapes that are selected. I'm going to join those. So now I have two closed curves. And then if we go to the right here and we do an arc with the start and the end, right, start, end, and then, you know, we didn't have big rounded rails like that or anything. They were kind of like, had a bit of a crease at the top, and then they were rounded out, hand sanded, or, you know, on like drum sanders. So we're gonna do something like that. And with these two rails already selected, we go sweep two, select our profile, and there it is. Looks pretty darn good. Select those three, and then J for join them. And now we have one closed polysurface. So, but we are missing a few things. First, let's flip this over. Delete those rails now. And we'll go to the top here. Let's look at our drawing. Here we go. Let's put the mounting holes in. Just gonna move these off of our just a hair. Okay, so if we go to our perspective And now if we actually extrude these curves, we can do a Boolean difference. Okay, I'll probably turn off history. So now, that actually cut out the mounting holes. This is starting to look a lot like, you know, the Hammerhead, right? But we need wheel wells. So let's go ahead and go to the right. Again, just whatever you're gonna make, you know, make it as if it's real. So they would put the wheel wells in using a drum. So a drum sander, let's go 6-inch radius. And let's just kind of get it close. So I'm gonna go right here. Now, if I was to extrude the curve, do it solid, we're gonna delete the input. I'm just gonna bring it right over here, right? Let's go back to right. I just wanna chop the top off this. Because I wanna see what's going on. I wanna see what it's cutting out. So I'm gonna go to about right there. And then we're gonna rotate this just a little bit. See, now you're starting to see. Turn on our shading. So we can actually like rotate our wheel well and get it kind of right into place. Let's turn off that snappy dragging. So something like that. And it feels like it maybe is not low enough. Yeah, so you can tell right here. It's gonna, they get pretty close to those top layers. You know, you're at like 1 or 2 plies generally. And then, yeah, a little bit of fudging around. I think that looks pretty good. So now, if I mirror this guy, turn on our original. Okay. And all we have to do now is just, again, that Boolean difference. We're going to subtract these guys. Ooh, look at that. That was a little crazy, though. Let's just move these up just a hair. Okay. And again, Boolean difference. Oh, that looks so much better. All right, we can turn off this guy, this guy. Let's just duplicate him. Flip him over. Now we can see the board. Super clean, right? Closed poly surface. So it's an absolutely clean model. It's watertight. And you can use this technique for really any shape. You can do traditional new school shapes and dial in the rails, how much concave there is, and everything else. Obviously, you know, you can go and you can texture them and UV map them and everything else. That's a whole nother video on how to do that. You know, but for the time being, it's like rad. It was a Hosoi Hammerhead. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's always cool making something that I actually rode back in the day, and yeah, long live Hosoi, keep on ripping.